With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. My family needs me, so I must know our remedies. How much to take, how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. Athusa, no dairy, it's elementary. With arnica head, arsenica fed, spidulia slither, orms from wither, no more infirm. My family. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. My family.
Now, can you hear me? Now, hello, says Kimberly. Hello, Newman. Yes. Hi, everyone. Yes. Well, I don't know. I wasn't singing so well tonight because I was quite distracted. So, hi, friends. I'll tell yippee, says Kelgal. Great to see you all. Good evening, my friends. Monday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. We do this every single week, whether it's Memorial Day or Christmas or whatever it may fall upon. It is always the same. Every Monday at 8 o'clock Eastern time. My name is Joette Calabrese, and I'm here at that time to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to teach you what I know about homeopathy, and I like to see you sharing. I love it. It builds our community. It makes things more vibrant and more alive, and we get lots of people coming in and helping each other. It's a wonderful thing. And so for those of you who already know me, hi, friends. So good to see you. Yippee skippy, says Heather. Loud and clear. Thank you, Paula. Nice to see you here. I was kind of distracted tonight because this afternoon, for the first time, all day, pretty much for the first time, we had nothing we had to do. Just a little help in the family here and there. I helped out my family, but nothing major. I didn't have to make a big meal. Not that I had to. I love making meals for my family, but I had no real big obligation today, and so it was really a joy to kind of sit back most of the day. And so it's very windy here and quite lovely. And I've been listening to, and I don't know if you would agree with me, but one of my favorite composers is Felix. I love his name too. Felix Mendelssohn. And I was listening to the octet. I think it's the second octet. Opus 20. I wrote it down, Opus 20. Mendelssohn's Opus 20 octet. Oh my gosh, I've loved that piece for so long. And I just have to say, I'm sorry, I got caught up in Felix today. And Felix had a sister named Fanny. Yes, Felix and Fanny Mendelssohn. How cool is that? And they were both composers. She composed as well, and she did not have any of hers actually published until she didn't have the confidence. She didn't do it till she was 40 years old, but they worked in unison. It's a beautiful story. She died young. She died, I think, at 41. And they were so close. They were so integral in each other's work. They were practically inseparable. And he suffered terribly when she passed away. So I just thought I'd share that great story with you. They were German Jews in the 1800s. Brilliant musicians and composers. So maybe you'd be interested in listening to this octet, Opus 20. So anyway, that's why I said it's good that you didn't hear my sound, because I was listening so intently to them, and then I had to quickly shift over to bum, bum, bum. So, hi, friends. Let's talk, shall we? Let's talk about pain, right? Especially in two areas, knees and hips. I always think of the head, shoulders, knees and toes, But we're only going to talk about knees and hips. And I want to show you the proximity of the remedies, how they intertwine, that we can consider using for those two joints, areas of the body, not just the joint, but also the area of the joint. Can also be the tendon, can be the muscles, can be the actual joint, even the bones. But mostly we're going to talk about it kind of as an arthritic condition. But before I start, I have to read something to you that I think is so powerful. I've been reading Dr. Gilbert Welch's books. Welch, W-E-L-C-H, like the grape juice. And he calls these disturbing truths. And I want you to think about this. One disturbing truth about health is trying to eliminate a problem can be more dangerous than managing one. Now, Dr. Gilbert Welch is not a homeopath. But he understands, in spite of not having a great solution like homeopathy, how important it is that we back off from trying to eliminate the problem with heavy-duty drugs, surgery, generally those two. Another disturbing truth he purports is early diagnosis can needlessly turn people into patients. So, no kidding. I see it all the time. Early diagnosis, meaning just going for tests just because? Well, because you're this age, because that's what we do, because it's prudent, because it's responsible, which I think is pretty often the opposite. And another disturbing truth that he puts out to us is action is not reliably the right choice. Now remember, this man is a conventional doctor, so when he thinks of action, he's not thinking of using homeopathy or chiropractic or physical therapy. He's talking about action that's much more dire, more sobering than those methods. Those methods can manage pain, but they can also even sometimes uproot pain. Not always, but they can do it. So, let's talk about these medicines. We're going to start with knees, and then we're going to go to hips. Yes, Mendelssohn is fantastic, says Heather. Hi from Scarborough, says Wendy. Loud and clear. I'm glad you can all hear me. That's great. Everyone can hear. Let's see what we've got going on here. Sound is great. Very good. Hi from Toronto. Hi, Alice. All righty, let's talk. The first medicine I want you to think about for any joint, but also with knees. This is a little different than what I've taught in my pain course when I teach the Banerjee protocols, but I'm going to step aside from that for a moment because I want you to think about this medicine anytime there's a joint pain. Make sure that what I'm going to describe to you fits, okay? This medicine is a pain in which the first movement, many of you already know this, is worse. First getting up in the morning, that first movement is like creaky, old, rusty gait. It's painful. And then once the person gets more limbered up, okay, as they move along, they get better. We often find this when people are going down the stairs because they have not gone down the stairs. They might have been walking. It was simple. It was level ground. Now they have to travel down the stairs, and that's often when we see that this medicine can be very useful. And it can also be useful when there's that, as well as having overused the joints. So we're talking about knees, and the medicine is, of course you know, Rhus tox. Rhus, R-H-U-S, tox, T-O-X. It's an abbreviation for a name that's longer than that. It's Rhus toxicodendron. And I don't know that we even need to know that because more often than not, you're only going to see it written as Rhus, R-H-U-S, tox, 2 words. So First, it's also worse on rest. It can be okay on rest for a little while, but when the person goes to bed, they find in the middle of the night, ow, ow, ow. They have to flip over. They've been in that position too long. They went just as when they've been seated and now they're moving and they start going down the stairs. They've been in that position too long. I want you to think about this medicine as one of the first ones if it fits this criteria. Okay. Now, we can use it in a 30, and when we would use it in a 30, I would use it 2-3 times a day. I personally have used it for myself in higher potencies than that. I've used it 200. I've even used a higher potency than that, usually when I'm really beat up. A lot of times we need roost tox after we've done too much gardening, too much lifting. We've just moved from one house to another. We had to do a lot of work. So now we've overdone it. We're not accustomed to that much work, and now we're beat up. And then in the morning, oh my gosh, every joint or perhaps just the knees are achy and painful. Also, we'll know that roost tox can be useful when the person really finds comfort in soaking in a bath, putting a hot water bottle against the knee or knees. Often it's bilateral. It's not, generally it's both knees. Sometimes it's one knee. If it's one knee, it means that likely that knee has been injured more often than not. Okay, we're going to go to a second medicine here that is also has something to do with movement, and that is bryonia. And bryonia is knee pain for every little movement. It doesn't limber up. In other words, it's painful in the beginning and then limbers up with roost tox, but not with bryonia. Bryonia is ow, 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 and it doesn't stop once the person limbers up. Okay? It's often a stitching kind of a pain when someone needs bryonia, B-R-Y-O-N-I-A, bryonia. And I like to use bryonia also in a 30. 2-3 times a day. If you find that it works 2 to 3 times a day, but you need, oh my gosh, if I could just have a 4th dose this particular day, then okay, that day. Don't overdo this, my friends. We're always looking for that tipping point. Okay, it is important. I also want to tell you that if it's the knee can be red and swollen. And if that's so, then it's more likely to be bryonia, especially if every little movement hurts. Okay? Now, let's go to another one with the way it appears. When a knee looks swollen, but beyond just a little swollen, it's pretty edematous. It can be boggy. Press on it and you can see indentation. There is a marked swelling. Bryonia has swelling, but boy, apis, A-P-I-S, apis mellifica, just known as apis, is fine. And the nature of the pain is a stinging pain. Apis is made from mashed up honeybee. So it's not unusual for us to be thinking, what would a honeybee cause if it stung? It would cause a stinging, swelling, edematous pain, but it can also, my friends, be a shooting pain. It shoots. It shoots up, over, around, behind, down, etc. And it can also be a shooting, stinging, but there's one other sensation. Apis can have a burning pain. So it's a burning sensation in which it is very sensitive to touch. Imagine getting stung by a bee. Would you want someone to touch the site? No, you would not. And that's exactly how we choose apis mellifica. And we would use it in a 30th potency, 2-3 times a day, if need be 3 times. If absolutely, then 4 times a day. Don't get the idea, for those of you who are new to homeopathy, please don't get the idea that means you take it forevermore. We take any one of these medicines, whether it's roost tox, bryonia, apis, and we'll be talking about more. We take it until there's improvement. Once there's improvement, we back off. Because if we keep carrying on, it will cause some chaos. We don't want that. These medicines are intended to improve. And one does not necessarily need to take them forevermore. Once in a while, for a chronic condition, we might see someone who needs to take these homeopathic medicines for a good, longer amount of time. But generally speaking, we can see that the person can start tapering off. If 3 times a day at a 30th potency was valuable, okay, now let's see if we can go 2 times a day. Okay, 2 times a day works. Okay, twice a day. Okay, now we can see, okay, now let's try once a day. You know what? I don't even think I need this medicine anymore. And often, my friends, that's how we forget to take the medicine, because the condition is resolved. Now, it doesn't resolve in everyone. It resolves in many people, but not everyone. This is powerful medicine, gentle and powerful, but it's not 100%. So when people say, oh, it didn't work, okay, then that means that you need to perhaps reassess what medicines you used for and how it matched what the condition is that you're suffering. Okay, we're going to go to another remedy that I don't talk about very often. I think it's very powerful, and it's specifically when someone has gout. And gout is a certain kind of arthritis. It often affects the great toe. It's more common in men than it is in women, but it can also affect the knee. And that is when there's a high uric acid level. Sometimes we know that because the person's been tested, but to be honest, my friends, do you need to be tested to know what kind of pain you're experiencing? If it's a gout-like pain and you've never had gout, this is what we do. What are the symptoms of gout? Look it up, see if you can find it out. You want to be as independent as possible. And there can be a crackling in the joint. Now, not everyone. Many people have crackling in their knee or cracking when they first bend down. We can often hear a crackle, but we're talking about something that is even just a small movement, not just going all the way down to pick something up off the floor. And there can be dryness felt inside the knee. Now, what does that mean? Well, that would explain why there's a sensation of cracking or sound of cracking, because there's not enough moisture. Which then brings me to the next suggestion, and that is make sure you are drinking enough water. If I can't tell you the number of times I've talked to people who have told me that their joints hurt, that their back is painful, and I was one of those people years ago, and I learned long ago that it was often, at least we start with, I said start with Rhus-Tox, only homeopathically we start with that. Instead, I want you to think of drink more water, not gallons and gallons. Leanne's here. Thank you, Leanne. I love that you've suggested this. 4 ounces every hour, just to get started. And you'll find if you need to shed a couple of pounds, you're likely to be able to do so, because we often confuse thirst with hunger. Okay, now I'm going to go to the medicine that the Banerjees have used and what they taught me for the knee. And they used Symphytum, Symphytum, Symphytum 200, mixed with Arnica 30, BID, twice daily. I have found that to be very useful for a great number of people, and I use that when each one of those conditions I just read to you or just described to you, such as the worse on first movement, better moving along after, worse overuse, or hurts too much every single time there's movement, or there's a swelling and boggy and stinging and burning. So I've gone through 3. Now I'm at Apis. Now we go, or there's a cracking and there's gout. If any one of those are clearly present, I would likely skip the Symphytum 200 mixed with Arnica 30 BID twice daily. Because if we can be more specific with exactly how it's presenting, we often will have a better picture. We'll have a better chance of seeing some real improvement. However, having said that, it may go from Rhus-Tox, and then later on another time it might turn into a need for Apis. Or it might be rhus toxin, it works nicely, and then it's not acting so well anymore. It helped a little bit. Now we have to move on to Symphytum 200 mixed with Arnica 30 twice daily. You see where I'm going with this? We want to try to match it as best we can, even though we do have a protocol. The protocol is general. The matching the medicines is specific. Okay. Let me also say that if there was an injury to the knee, then the picture of Symphytum 200 mixed with Arnica is more likely to be of use. So was an injury now, or is there an injury, was there an injury 3 years ago, and what remains is arthritis? Now we're talking about Symphytum and Arnica, and that is a very specific picture. Okay. We're going to go to, let's go to hip arthritis, and let me get to some of your questions first. Okay. All righty, hold on one second. Let me just make sure that I've covered this. Oh, did I not tell you the remedy for the for the knee that has gout? It's benzoic acid. I can't believe I skipped it. Benzoic, benzoic acid. Benzoic acid 30, same thing. We use it in the same fashion, my friends. How did I skip that? I talk all about it and then don't even mention it to you. Okay, let's just see if we've got some questions here that could be of use. I use Symphytum and rhus, says Deb. And others are saying they use rhus tox. Hello from Milton. All righty. Yes, please help us spread the word. Please, friends, you like, share. Do make sure you're sharing this with friends. And also subscribe. That just brings up our numbers. All right, let's see, what remedy are we talking about? Okay, gout, benzoic acid. Okay. Okay, I was bending over a table to get something, says Amy, and I felt a horrible sharp pain in my knee and couldn't walk on it. I ended up using Arnica 200 and rubbed Topricin pain relief into the knee, and it worked wonderfully. Used it several times a day when it first happened and tapered off over the last couple of days. Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, my girlfriend wishes she didn't have meniscus surgery. Her knee is swollen and painful. Yeah, that is, the first half is exactly what I'm talking about. When I discussed what Dr. Welch was talking about, that we often jump to conclusions and are sorry later. Let's see. My mom has had severe pain, need another hip replacement, has severe pain and arthritis, has been in Symphytum rhus and Arnica. Gouty knee, thank you, Alice, for saying benzoic acid. Surgery, replying, okay, very painful. Shingles with blisters. I talk about shingles on my blog. When can you use Arnica 1M or 10M? I would not start with Arnica 1M or 10M. I would start with these lower remedies, lower potency, so that you can use them more frequently. Replying to Virginia. Okay, so you're helping each other. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we've got here. I think we've got some good, very good questions. Nice to see everyone here. All right. Now let's get to hip arthritis. And interestingly, what do you know? We have a couple of the same medicines. How could that be? How could it work for the knee and also for the hip? Because the symptoms, if the symptoms match up, if the symptoms are the same, then we're going to use the same medicine. So we're going to consider rhus tox, right? It's worse on rest. It's worse on first movement, after rest. They've been resting, they've been seated, or they've been laying in bed for a while, and now it starts to hurt, and they flip around in bed trying to find a comfortable position. Ow, 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 ow. Find a new position. Okay, it's a little more comfortable. Lay there a little while longer. They've been in that position too long. Ow, ow, ow. Okay, flip to another position. Or they get up in the morning and they can barely move, and then they can start moving a little bit better as they limber up. Anyone who tells you that they must stretch in the morning in order to relieve their arthritis, my friends, more often than not 100%, but more often than not, need Rhus tox. See, that obligatory stretching is often the need for Rhus tox. And so, again, it's the same thing. We're going to talk about worse on first movement, etc. Rusty gait. Rawr, rawr. The gait is, I don't know who came up with that little story. And whoever that homeopath was needs an extra couple stars, because I've used that explanation for a long, long time. The rusty gait is scratching and pulling and pushing against the hinge, and it's so painful. And then once it gets swinging, okay, now the gait can move more readily. But if we push that gate too far, it falls off of its hinges. It gets worse again. All righty. That's Rhus tox again. How do we use it? Same way. 30th potency, 2-3 times a day. If it's very severe, we could go with a 200 twice a day, perhaps 3 times a day. And we want to make sure that it makes sense to use it. These medicines it's very important, my friends, that you understand how homeopathy works, that as it improves, we back off a little bit, at least for acutes. Now, for chronics, sometimes it's different. All righty, let me take a sip of my water. Oh my gosh, it's already 8:28. Excuse me, I'm going to stay a little longer because my sound was off. All righty, so next one is Bryonia. What do you know? Bryonia is worse from movement, my friends. It means that the pain may be cramping in the hip, and a bruise feeling, a knife-like stitching, a stabbing type pain. Anyway, it's not all of these. Could be some, perhaps the person experiences all of these, but more often than not, it's one or the other. There's a cracking sound in the hip as well. And it emanates on walking. The sound is on walking. In some cases, the pain may go further than the hip. It may shoot down, or it may extend down the leg and go all the way to the knee. So the slightest motion, the slightest movement is painful. If that's happening in the hip, then my friends, it is time for Bryonia again. Bryonia and Rhus tox, the same for the hip as it is for the knee. All right, now we're going to go to another remedy that I think is really valuable for joints and tendons and muscles in general, but especially if the hip is inflamed or we know that the tendons and ligaments are in trouble. Then we're going to be looking at Ruta, R-U-T-A, Ruta graveolens, or just plain Ruta, R-U-T-A. The ligaments, the person can feel when they touch the hip, they can actually feel, sometimes they can feel which ligament it is. Maybe not exactly, but they have an idea of exactly where it is. They say it's right here. And they have a real good idea of where it is. And a lot of times this kind of pain, when it's associated with the ligaments, is from an overuse or a strain. They stretch too far, they dance too long, they snowboarded for too many hours and cause pain in the hip. This is especially for more of a younger person, obviously, if they're snowboarding. But there is a sense of inflammation in the joint, but more often the tendons and ligaments. And that is Ruta graveolens. Now, a lot of people like to use a 30. I'm going to be honest with you. I really like Ruta and a 200 for this in particular. Ruta 200 twice daily. As soon as you see improvement, what do? You abandon ship. Stop. or at least back off. If it's completely better, you're going to abandon ship. If it's someone better, then you can slowly move away from it. Okay. Now let's talk about a hip pain remedy that is especially seems to come on when somebody has done a lot of stooping, or they've been moving a lot, walking a lot, overusing the hips a lot. But it's also particularly painful during the walking, and especially if the person is stooping over, bending, the top part of the body downward, ouch, or forward. So that can be very painful in the hip. Along with that, there can be back pain, especially in the area of the hips. So it's the lower back, the the lumbar section. And it is also great for when there's damage to the hip joint. Now, how do you know that there's damage? Sometimes we know. Sometimes it's from an accident, a previous accident from years ago. It's also one of our top remedies, this Aeschylus, Aesculus, Aeschylus. And it is Aesculus. Ankylosing spondylitis is one of the great, this medicine is one of the great medicines specific to ankylosing spondylitis. I want you to remember that. That's a very good one. Maybe you don't have that, but it's good to have this in your notes. Mom needs hip replacement and daily pain, has been on Symphytum rustax, Arnica 200, not touching the pain, Arnica 1M. Well, look, this is the way we do this. We make sure that the pain is don't just say pain must mean Arnica. Pain could mean hypericum. Pain could mean a rustax. Pain could mean bryonia. Make sure that the pain that the person is describing or that you're observing fits one of these medicines. So in other words, my friends, don't assume just because we know arnica is a pain remedy that we just give that for pain. There are hundreds. I'm going to say probably 100 or two of pain medicines, homeopathic pain medicines. And so what we have to do is tease apart how it's presenting. How is it on first movement? Is it after having sat too long? And then I want you to go to your Materia Medica and read the medicines I'm telling you about so that you can differentiate between the different medicines. Otherwise, what we're talking about is, I'll just try hypericum's for pain too. Simicifuga's for pain. Camomilla's for pain. Coffea is for pain. We could keep going with this. So I want you to make sure that you're differentiating what kind of pain. How is it presenting? When does it present? How does it show up? Aeschylus. I often use Aeschylus in a 30 or 200C and twice daily. Now let's see if I have anything. Yep. Aeschylus. Well, someone's asking to see how it's spelled. Look in the notes. I'm sure you'll see it now because other people are writing about it. Now, I've got another remedy that I want to talk to you about that is really excellent for hip pain. That is called Colosynthes. Colocynthis. And it is especially great for when the person has been laying on the affected side. So if they have been on the affected side, they're lying down, they're on that side, and that is the side that they're lying on is where the pain is. It's one of the differentiating factors for the use of Colosynthes. And it can radiate down the leg, so it can be often used for sciatica. It's not quite sciatica. I mean, sciatica is usually around the other side, but a lot of times it's hard to differentiate. Is this sciatica? Is it hip? Is it both? This can be a very useful remedy, Colosynthes. And then it's also great for constriction and shooting pain, not unlike sciatica pain, right? Walking worsens the pain, and rest relieves. Let's see if we've got enough information here. Yes, tendinitis in both arms for a year from lifting bags, clearing out the house. Listen to what I said. Listen, watch this again, Kim. I urge you to watch this again because I talked about overuse and how it presents. It's not about just tendinitis, it's how it presents as well. It really does make a difference, particularly when it comes to joints, tendons, muscles, ligaments, etc. Okay, let's see if we've got anyone else in here. Yep. Spasms. Well, we're talking about knees and hips today, but in general, spasms. Who can tell Virginia about spasms? Spasms. We've got a couple remedies that are specific for spasms. Spasms, Angela asks about it. Virginia asks about it. Angela's asking about muscle cramping. Muscle cramping is somewhat similar to spasms in a way, right? Mag-phos, says Mia. That's right. Magnesium phosphoricum in hot water and sipped. And you might want to look on my blog about that. Mag-phos. Yes, Mag-phos is great for spasms. And then, thank you, Harry. Hi, Harry. I like the way you spell spasms. Mag-phos, says Kelly. Mag-phos, I love Mag-phos in a 6 or a 30 in hot water, sipped every every 30 seconds, 10 seconds, something like that. Would you use symphytum or other remedies for pain in the broken ankle? Surgeon said bone is straight, so no need for surgery. I certainly would. Symphytum is knit bone. It's known to knit the bone. The surgeon will be very pleased to see how quickly this person will heal if they use symphytum, and I love it in a 200C. I know. Public school spelling. No, I think you were just writing quickly. Hi, Harry. Great to see you all. I think we can call it a night. And we went a little over because my time was all off tonight. Thank you, everyone. Love meeting with you. Mwah. I'll carry on with pain probably next week as well, and we'll talk about different kinds of pain. See you then. Have a great night. Bye now.
With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. My family needs me, so I must know our remedies. How much to take, how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. Athusa, no dairy, it's elementary with arnica head, arsenicum fed, spigelia slither, orms from wither, no more. My family needs me, so I improve my memory. Not only the rems, but how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With your homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies. Belisol red and arnica head, drosera bark, ignatia dark, source of frigid and cuprum to rigid, and crude itches, calicum, bonicum, let it melt on your gum, bovis to wheat are some great ways to treat ya. La 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 la, homeopathic protocols, learn your remedies. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. My family needs me, so I must know our remedies. How much to take, how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat. With our homeopathic protocols, you learn your remedies. Athusa, no dairy, it's elementary with arnica head, arsenicum fed, spigelia slither, orms from wither, no more. My family needs me, so I improve my memory. Not only the rems, but how often to treat, and when to stop, and when to repeat with your homeopathic.